God.
Ladies and gentlemen,
And wait a
welcome
minute.
to Women Speaking Sports RVA. We're back. We took a week off, but we're here. We're ready. We're ready to serve you some football. We're ready to serve you some basketball. I'm your QB, Star Mallory, but later on, I'm not going to be your PB. I'm sending it over to Danielle. She is going to be directing the conversation. But first,
It's March Madness, y'all.
Before we get started, I do want to take this time to thank our sponsors, the Hilton, Mike King, Fast Signs, Jerry Howard, and our newest sponsor, who you all met 2 weeks ago, Core Mortgage. You guys can find us on ESPN Richmond Fridays at 6 a.m. at 106.1 FM, and The Choice on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. at 105.3 FM. Ladies, let's get into it because I know we have something very hot on the table right now. Do it.
Oh, gosh.
It is now required for all NFL teams to hire a minority or woman as an assistant coach. What are your feelings?
So I'm gonna need a minute because I'm still processing the need that we have to make a requirement,
Right,
to hire diverse.
Where is my application?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Sign me up.
But no. Carrie wants to go to Tampa Bay. She wants to go to Tampa Bay.
It is funny because I can see you both doing this. But the interesting thing about it is to Danielle's point, why do we need a requirement? But I also feel a little bit like all the women that are going to be in that position immediately going to be diminished.
But what about the ones that are already in that position?
right. But you have to, Jennifer King with the Washington Commanders. She's been a trailblazer now, and so imagine how many women and minorities that she can mentor during this time.
Yeah, and I think the Bucks have 2 on their team.
Of course they do.
They're way ahead of the crowd.
They're the Bucks.
They're the Bucks.
A couple of utility women around.
Here's the real question. What will it change?
Right.
So we've been having a lot of conversation amongst one another about some of the issues as it relates to sexism and some of the things that have been experienced there. Is this going to change the behaviors that we see with some of the players, with that impact of having the energy of maybe a woman coach who's able to have some of these conversations? Will it make a big difference in that?
Or will they just be treated as filling a box and not be actually given the leadership
That's what I
opportunity?
don't like.
So,
It's yet to be known.
I don't think so. I think we've gone through this before, right? We asked for a seat at the table as minorities in corporate America. We know what it is when there's a tokenism component to it, but it really has to do with the individual. So if you have the right woman, i.e. one of the right women, that walks in the door, they're not going to, number one, you're not going to be diminished because you set the tone. You should not go through the door saying, oh, well, I'm a charity case. The reality is that there are qualified women out there that bring something to the table. And if you hire the right women or minority in those roles, it doesn't matter what your motive was. It matters what you bring to the table, what you make happen.
Right, and this gives all of those women opportunity now.
Yeah.
More opportunity.
And I think the great thing about it too is they're hiring them at a certain level. Now you're going to see the back office change. And that's one of the significant issues with the NFL. It's not necessarily what's happening on the field. It's what's happening that influences what's on the field.
Exactly.
And so I'm pretty excited to see what happens with the back office. I think like the Dallas Mavericks, they have a woman that runs the operational end of their business. And it's been great. So it'll be good to see how it's all.
And they would want to pay her correctly.
They better do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I think there'll be a lot of eyes watching to see how this plays out. And how the movement of those positions change over the next couple years.
Yeah. I'm excited about it. And we all as sports fans.
Okay, it's morning, but it's about damn time. I'm just gonna say, it's just about damn time.
Yeah. I think we're gonna see a lot of things. And I think for us, the game will change a little bit too. The things we'll be able to talk about are gonna expand as it relates to the sport. Whether we want to say it or not, when you start to expand the diverse basis of environments like that, you change a lot of things, bring in a new perspective. It's necessary. I mean, NFL has needed some change. And what they're gonna do, that's it.
And to Dr. Danny always brings up
Reversing that.
the money part of it. We know that organizations that have a more diverse staff make 15% more money to the bottom
Minimally,
minimum
minimal.
by having a more diverse staff. Right.
But I'll also point out to you, there's a other flip side on the money side is if you actually look at who the fan base is of the NFL, it's actually, and the purchasing power is actually more women
Women.
than it is men. And
That's
so,
why breast cancer is so big. It's
Yes.
not that they care about breast cancer as much as it drives revenue.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's at the football field when you're, going in and purchasing there, or those online revenues, which are huge for them. So I absolutely agree.
It's good business sense.
Yeah, I think another good point is minorities and women have a little bit more knowledge per se when it comes to mental health. And how mental health has affected certain groups within the minorities and women. And so imagine how having a diverse staff, especially last season, how that would have affected how some of the players, how some of their outcomes.
I'm making the responsibility of.
No.
Absolutely not.
To battle like Antonio Brown.
that is.
Hold up, don't be throwing rocks, don't do that. But he didn't have on the
Here's the
black
thing.
and yellow when he did that.
Yeah, so that's not for me and Dr. James.
I just want to point out something. I've been given great opportunity, a lot of leadership roles from a very young age, and I've always done that based on my abilities. So I just want to make sure that we're also hiring people based on their abilities. If I was to get one of these jobs, and maybe I will apply, but I want to know because I'm.
Which team, Gary? Which team?
Wherever Tom Brady is.
Yeah. And if next year he goes and buys a team,
Oh my God.
maybe I could go coach that
Get
team.
this man out of the NFL.
Tom Brady, we're calling you out. You gotta be a next
I saw that meme, and did you see Tom Brady's response?
Yes, I did.
So,
And that
I mean, his social media game is A+.
listen to this lady.
I don't think he has a game that is an A+, Mary.
I promise
Go ahead
you.
and say.
Well, sometimes I don't agree with what he eats. Like, no avocados for this.
Oh my goodness. But I think it makes a good point. And so when you carry the title of coach, coaches have different roles in the NFL. So I don't know if it means that one of them need to be there. What is the official role that they have? And there's probably, as we were talking in the beginning, a lot of teams that already have
There
a
are.
minority or woman in that role. So it's really letting the other teams know that we are formally saying, you need to be thoughtful and intentional about bringing diversity to the forefront.
And I think it's interesting, though, it's the offensive coordinator's position is what they are really, because that's where most of the hires are for all of the new hires for the NFL are on the offensive coordinator.
Well, I also heard him talk about this morning, and maybe it wasn't related to this, but they were just talking about offensive coaches and that for the defense, they can hold their own. Need a lot more strategery on the offensive side. So,
Well, did you find it interesting that within the process, the NFL is going to reimburse the teams a certain
That's
amount of
what-
money?
Yeah,
I'm looking to see what that's all about.
Yeah.
I haven't dug into it enough. I went into the comments, but I thought that was a very interesting thing. It's almost like getting a tax break,
an incentive.
An incentive.
So
which again goes back to like for the teams that have already done this, let's also highlight those who've already done this.
Right.
The
Yeah.
people who
Yeah.
are the groundbreakers, the
That they
women have
did it
been there for
Exactly.
several years. The
Absolutely.
minorities who are not only assistant coaches, but head coaches. Like, let's, recognize those who have given the equal opportunity. And, going back to your favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the precedent they set a long time ago with their ownership. And so I think there's a lot of great opportunity, but I also want to make sure that people are, I always want to be there because I'm capable and qualified.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that we get all the
And that
balance.
was my initial statement, is just that Yeah, I trust that any woman or minority that breaks in at that level, typically, I mean, it's kind of like looking at Ketanji Brown Jackson. She's not there, but she's not qualified.
Listen, we've been running fast and jumping higher for how long?
Yeah, kind of get it.
Yep,
Kinda
yep.
get it. It'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting move for the NFL. We'll see what happens, right?
Yeah, I just want to put another hammer in that nail that I hope that they come correct when it comes to the compensation, right? Because it's not related, but I remember the joke that was made early on in the
They're already
Oscars.
making 30 cents less.
But they need to gross it up more. And then they made that comment, we're all three women hosting the Oscars because it's
Yeah.
cheaper than hiring one man.
Yeah.
That was the.
Yeah.
But there was another formal piece of legislation in the NFL that was passed, and the change of the overtime rules. So the overtime is only, this change only applies to playoffs.
Right.
But both teams will have possession of the ball.
I said it, I called it, I said it, I said
It
it.
had to be.
I said
Right over here.
We did talk about.
We
it.
talked
We
about
did.
this,
We did.
one possession, one
Right.
possession.
One
I said it.
possession.
Claim got to a coin toss.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Really?
think about how many teams maybe just got lucky. During overtime, they had possession one time. Okay.
Feeling something over there.
But this is my thing. So why just playoffs?
That's what I don't understand.
Because the other games influence the playoffs.
Does it come down to time,
That's
really?
what I
Yeah.
think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's that the time allotment during the regular
Right.
season. I mean,
TV
we
time.
already know
And they already
that-
expanded the season.
Yeah, right.
The cost of these games being produced for national television or television is much more expensive than it used to be. It's getting more expensive.
Guys,
So-
they have advertisers
Yeah, they
that
do,
are
but
dying to be a
still.
part of,
Yeah,
Steelers
but
shows
also-
got the
also,
highest rating.
You know,
Yeah.
it's time for the players on
Just
the field
excellent.
too.
Just excellent.
It's time for the players on the field too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Consideration of the players.
That's
So.
right. That's right. But
Okay.
I am happy that that drove me crazy.
Yes.
It's like, I mean, like, you didn't give me a chance.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I know, we won one night and this
You
is
really
not,
win by
this
point.
is, right.
Right.
Exactly.
Because college football, well, they've now changed rules, but I remember one night, my mom and I stayed up till like 2 o'clock in the morning watching two teams we didn't even care about, and they were like
Back and forth,
quadruple
yeah,
overtime.
back and
Well,
forth.
and it's not like baseball.
So
You gotta
it's
score
very
in the
much like
innings
that.
and you go
Yeah.
to 12 innings.
Yeah,
Right.
So,
Yeah. Exciting though.
It is.
It is
Very
exciting.
We'll see how it plays out.
Well, one thing that I'm not excited about.
I was like, are y'all
Let's
gonna talk
hear-
about
let's
it? I'm
hear.
waiting. Y'all
I'm-
football, but
yes.
I'm ready to
I don't
chime
know where
in.
this is
I'm
going.
ready to
I
chime
don't
in.
even know where this is going.
Let's talk
I
money.
never know where this is going.
You're talking about money. I'm talking about the recent trade this
Oh,
past
yeah.
couple
Oh.
weeks with my R Juju over here in Kansas City.
Oh.
So,
I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
So
well,
I'm
Dr.
no-
Ray, Dr. Dady,
I'm not,
please.
but I can't say anything other than I'm no longer a fan, so now on to the next. Because it's a,
You're no longer a Steelers fan?
oh, I'm a Steelers fan, I'm not a Juju. Yeah, yeah. Oh, girl, 36 years ain't going
I
nowhere.
know, I was just curious. I was like,
So-
what?
Who wins in this game? Steelers fans, tell us, who wins in this game?
Well, Steelers always win.
Right. Here we
So,
go.
no, because we're gonna, I just believe that. If you give us, in any scenario, we're gonna find a way to get the maximum out of it. And that's the challenge. So now you have an individual who's going into an environment who's extremely talented. But dude, you're over here now.
Yeah.
So now you gotta earn,
Earn your stripes.
so his psychology of what he brings, that I am, in Pittsburgh, they were making me the man.
Right.
He's going to the Chiefs now.
And you're just a man. You're not the man.
Yep,
You're
Yeah.
one up.
yep,
So now the psychology of how he wraps himself around that
yeah.
is going to determine how they do with him. But whatever we do, whether it's a pick, we will find a way to make it work, because it's not the system that, their system and their talent is going to be a certain way. we usually try to identify what is it that you bring and how do we bring it into
Yeah.
and take advantage of it
Exactly.
for the benefit of the whole team. And that is what I think Tomlin, that's what I think he brings to the table.
Yeah,
People
Mike
want to
Tomlin,
play
that
for
was
him.
her
Right,
application,
yeah,
by the
I
way. Mike
agree.
Tomlin, that was her application. That was the intern I was rated.
Dr. Davis.
That was just the opening statement.
We'll just send the
Opening
tapes.
statement.
The tapes are going out officially to the NFL teams tomorrow.
I'm just,
Well, wait a minute. But what we haven't talked about, then we're going like who's gonna learn from who? What about Baker Mayfield? Who's
That
gonna learn
is
from
it.
who?
And you know, and
Like,
that's-
here's
it's
my
disruptive
letter.
for Baker.
Here's my letter. I need to go somewhere else. Well, they're giving you that option, Baker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, and the thing about Baker
Which is
was,
sad.
you guys know how I am about Odell.
Yes.
And I really felt like he got a raw deal.
He
He was
did.
out there.
Yep.
And everyone was very much like, it's over. It's over. And really the reason was, it's about big personalities. If you
Yeah.
have that person who's a diamond and they shine and they let you know they're a diamond, any little thing that they do that's partisan becomes a problem. Well, when OBJ wasn't receiving the ball, it wasn't because he was not capable. Baker Mayfield wasn't doing his job.
That's correct.
And I think it
Yeah.
proved itself out.
Oh,
And
yeah.
how the
This year.
seasons ended up.
Absolutely.
And that's the important right away. It didn't happen. If OBJ had left, gone to the Rams, wasn't successful, and even at that late in the season, needed next year to prove something, you might be like, okay, well, Baker Mayfield wasn't the problem. There was an immediate change or an improvement for OBJ, and Baker Mayfield had the same
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
I think it says a lot. I'm trying to think back to there was a quarterback back in the late 80s, and I think his dad was very intrusive in his life, and you know, he came out of college, it was a big deal, and he was a bust in the NFL.
Like the ball of
The-
kids.
the-
And the basketball.
Was it Flutie, Doug Flutie?
No.
Oh, he was in New England. That was
Yeah,
horrible.
yeah.
That was-
But when you look at Baker Mayfield, I feel like Baker Mayfield is speaking bigger than he plays.
Yes.
You don't have the
Yeah.
right to demand anything right now. You haven't put it out there yet. He is my least favorite person in the
But you know
NFL,
who's
and
been-
Antonio Brown exists.
You know who's been silent though?
Well, let's talk about
Me?
people.
I'm agreeing with everybody tonight. This is
Cowboys,
great.
you've been really quiet.
It's a good place. It feels good.
It feels good. It feels so good. I'm in my happy place right now, drinking my coffee, nodding my head. Yeah.
But can we talk about unhappiness and really good deals?
yeah.
The
Take us there.
$230 million deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
So did y'all see the press conference?
I did not see the press
So,
conference.
so I'm gonna say this, I'm probably on an island by myself. I am a fan.
I didn't see, I'm about to go back
Oh
and
my
watch the
gosh, I'm
press conference.
shocked.
Elaborate.
When he brought in how he was raised, his mother, his grandma, I was like, I'm all over
There are
this.
some people watching who don't know what we're talking about, so go ahead and make it clear or listening.
No, well, just summarizing. He talked about
He knows,
why.
you gotta tell the people. Who talking about?
Deshaun?
Watson.
Deshaun Watson.
Everybody knows who.
There's only one $230 million.
There's only one.
That's because Aaron Rodgers is 235.
Oh, are we?
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Plenty of
All
it.
right, so the little boy from Houston has made a move,
He's made a big one.
and he's
After he was
in
making moves.
Browntown.
No.
He's in Browntown.
You're telling me you're a fan of that press
I'm a
conference?
fan of him. I kept an open mind when he was found innocent of the legal, something that was going through the criminal charges.
There's two
But when I
people.
heard him speak and as to why he would not settle any case, why he would you got 22, 24 women running at you saying you did this. And you got a team that have given you an allowance of $1 million outside of what you're getting paid to settle it. And you say, I am not settling
Yeah,
because
that's
I
true.
was raised by a single mom. I was taught to always respect women, and I am not guilty. I'm sorry, y'all. I became a fan.
Well, when the grand jury, when the grand jury, I mean, when the grand jury,
He's got good handlers.
I mean, at the end of the
well,
day,
but
Well,
the grand jury is the grand
his
jury.
best- he is
That's the
his
law.
best press. When I tell you, there are things that we do. People are prepared. Again, I'm gonna throw this out there. Let's not go down that rat hole. Will Smith has good handlers. He's not sorry for shit, but it sounds like he is. This kid spoke for himself, and you could hear him say, and you could hear his heart, because he's more concerned about what his mother thinks about him if he was to settle than what you might think about him. And I'm telling you that those Cleveland Browns, that coach and that back office, those people listened to him and they believed in it, and that's why they offered him and made him the highest paid.
In the
And he
ever.
is
So Lamar Jackson got a 1 year left on his contract.
I'm not dealing with it.
Oh.
They better not
Does he get 231?
No.
Absolutely not.
No. I think it's, I hate to
I mean,
say
what
this, but
precedent?
I feel like the hype is a little overblown at this point with Lamar.
The boy,
Well, he was
you done
injured, but
lost.
he was
He's
injured
never
for this
been-
year.
Look, we'll take him.
But look, these owners,
Seriously.
but these owners, they want wins.
Right.
That's what they want.
Yeah.
And they are willing to pay the money to get the win.
Because if you don't have a receiver, quarterback, and a running back,
But hold on, what's the tipping point? There's a tipping point to every trend. And at this stage, it's like, okay, we're gonna give Aaron 200, we're gonna give Deshaun 230. Are we doing 350? Are we doing 400? Like,
If
what
I
is
But
can
it?
age has a lot to do with it, I feel too. I think that, Aaron Rodgers, if you take everything, except for Tom Brady, he's like an anomaly. We're not gonna-
let's just say this.
Let's just put that out
Let's
there.
just put it
There
out
is
there.
Stop you from sitting next to me.
Yeah.
There are a lot of players that have been very gracious in making sure that they can make room in the cap to get the right players on the team.
Right.
But if,
In
but
addition
if
to
the
Tom
players accept the deal for the money,
Yeah.
and the owners are willing, I mean, it's just like any other job.
Right.
You took the job for the money they were willing to pay.
Right.
I will say this, there has been a long-standing trend where there are a lot of people that the coaches are making more money than, and these athletes are out there actually making it happen.
Yeah.
So I do like seeing the athletes adequately
Compensated.
Right.
And just to the point with Deshaun, I'll say this, it's innocent until proven guilty. He wasn't proven guilty. They didn't even take it to trial. 2 grand juries. I gotta go ahead and say, let the man live.
I agree.
I
You
totally
can't
agree.
dismiss that because
But-
then you're setting a whole different precedent.
Absolutely.
But what I really think you've got to start doing is that when they talk about hiring women and minorities, do that. But there's something else you need to do. And there needs to be a plan on how you help players stay out of questionable situations. Yes, the choices that you make are one thing, but the choices that put you in a vulnerable situation where people might try to take advantage.
Otherwise, trap, I'm just saying.
Right.
I love the quickness. I love that.
Don't everybody appreciate that?
Anecdotally, I was married to an NCAA athlete, and I can remember at the end of the football games, and this is college, right? I can remember at the end of the football games, the crowd outside of the field house at the end of the game, and it wasn't a male crowd, right? And it wasn't a bunch of girls who were the girlfriends of these athletes. At the time I was young, I was married, during that time, and I just look around, like, these women were vultures. in that
Dirty
environment.
Diana.
And dirty Diana. And I'm saying this as someone who typically, I don't lean that way. I look at how people behave in general. But it is amazing what money and the influence or potential of power.
They just
do.
let
That's
the rock
process
and
with
roll
anything in life.
That's what they, you could be mayor of
Yeah.
Richmond and that'll happen.
I agree with Dr. Danny. I agree with Dr. Danny that they do need to put into effect 2 things. One, mandatory money management. And I think that needs to happen in.
I mean, we
regard to
do
even
financial
looking at some
literacy
of
training
these
in high
agents.
school.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then
We talked about that a couple weeks ago.
secondary
Yeah.
lifestyle management. Because
Yes.
Because what do you do when they throw in the panties at you?
Look, you make them sign on the dotted line, this NDA that I'm agreeing to this, and you videotape it.
What? Hold a break, take a break.
I don't think this is
Roll,
gonna be a
look, roll the tape.
We want to thank our sponsors.
I think Mike's gonna have to edit some of this. We're gonna get an FEC violation.
And we don't like to say it February 17th was the last time for a while we've heard from Joe Burrow, and he's just getting he's taking a little break from Instagram. He's just getting ready for the next season. I just want to put that out there, but I'm keeping tabs on him, so just keep us all up to date.
It's a special night for Star. We'll let her have it.
Yeah, we'll let it happen.
Yes,
This one
okay.
night.
I also want to say happy birthday to Paris, my sister. It's her birthday. Yay. Well, I want to go ahead and wrap it up, and I'm going to be handling it over to Danielle, your point guard for
Let's
the
play
next
ball.
half of the show. But I got to go ahead and thank our sponsors just one more time. Hilton, Mike King, Fast Signs, Jerry Howard, and Core Mortgage. Who's representing in the house today, as well as we are housed happily here at the Hilton for always taking great care of us. We thank you guys so much. Don't forget to tune in to ESPN Richmond Fridays at 6 a.m. at 106.1 FM, and The Choice on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. at 105.3 FM. I'm Star Mallory signing off. See you next week.
So good on the.
Welcome back to Women Speaking Sports. You've got a fresh face, a fresh voice kicking you up. It is Danielle Fitzhugh. I am filling in as point guard for Star Mallory, who had to leave us at halftime, but I'm going to try to do her justice.
Without no injury involved.
Without
No,
any injury
right,
involved.
right.
That's right,
And it was
that's right.
not a technical.
And there was no tee up. There was no teeing up. No,
We
no
should have been
elbows.
ejected.
No elbows.
There was no elbows. We don't have a forced technical. But before we get started, let's thank our sponsors. We are at the Hilton downtown Richmond. We want to thank Mike King with the Mike King Radio Show, the best business-ish show in the region. We want to thank Fast Signs. We want to thank Jerry Howard and our newest sponsor, Core Mortgage.
I feel like Vanna White.
That's right. That's right. And where can you listen to us? You can listen to us on ESPN Richmond Friday at 6 a.m. 106.1 or The Choice Tuesday 2 p.m. 105.3. But here we are. It is March Madness. We are down to the Final Four. And hold on. Let's go ladies first. Women's Final Four.
Oh my gosh.
Ladies first.
Shout
game.
out to NC State, my
Oh,
Wolfpackers.
that was, to me, that was the championship game right
That was
there.
a
That was.
That was the
game.
championship
Double
game.
overtime.
Double overtime.
So my girls have nothing to be
No.
sad about. They represented,
My Michigan girls are out too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's our Final Four. We have got
Anyway, yeah.
South
South
Carolina. Yes.
all right, Don
Yeah.
Staley.
Former UVA player, Coach
Should have been the
Staley.
coach.
Should have been the coach, but we
Yeah.
digress. It's South Carolina's win.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Number one, playing against the
Michael
other
Jordan.
number one,
that
Louisville.
Louisville?
Louisville.
Yes.
We have probably the best player in the country right now playing for South Carolina, Aaliyah
Yep.
Boston.
Killing it.
Killing
Killing
it.
it. Yep.
Love the
Killing it.
colored
Killing it.
braids.
Oh, yeah.
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 And
Full personality.
just for just a little caveat, you may or may not know Cardi B's sister plays for South Carolina.
Really?
Honesty. Yes. Sister, Honesty.
Okay, wait a minute. Here we go with the little known
A
facts.
little known basketball fact.
Wow.
And I can't think of Honesty's last name at the moment.
It's not big.
And she has a clothing line.
It's like our
She has a
Really?
clothing line. She's the one with like she does the 4 braids with the headband. Honesty.
yeah.
She's in their starting lineup. So that is
Shout out
Cardi B.
on.
Shout out Honesty.
Does she have a song? Does she have like a part of
She-
a song?
She does not. She has a very popular clothing line.
Oh, good for her.
So
All
go get
right.
you some Honesty wear.
I'll have to check it out.
And then
NIL in action.
Yes.
So let's give the fact that Aaliyah Boston is a Naismith.
yes.
She has really just she's elevated her game.
And it's nothing about her
I'm
that's
a fan.
flashy.
Yeah.
She just gets the job done.
Yeah,
She reminds
that's
me
right,
of
that's
Robert
right.
I'm a
Parrish.
fan.
Look, I handle business.
Right. She
Yep.
goes out there and she goes, let's play.
Yep.
Let's play.
Yeah.
But the number 2 and number 3 players in the country are probably on Louisville's team. So they got a matchup. It's gonna be, I
What
don't.
about Paige
That's what I
Becker?
was gonna
Yeah.
say. What about Paige?
No.
She plays for UConn. She just came back from that injury and she is lights out.
Yes,
you
but
know.
do you understand? I'm gonna tell you right now, they simply got out coached. There was no reason
No.
why you let one player who
Yeah.
goes right every time and
Every
you don't
time.
turn it off. Everybody,
That's a
y'all
very
might beat
good
me,
point.
but she is not
Yeah.
going to beat me.
Exactly.
And they did not make an
They did
adjustment.
not.
I was so, ooh,
Like,
ooh.
you need a timeout. You need
Yes,
a timeout. They needed a timeout to regroup. It was the coach's responsibility to call the timeout and show them, tell them what they needed to change and address, and they didn't do it.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
right. That's
Yes.
right.
So,
That's what the coach is supposed to do.
And you know,
I'll
I want to say this. I really hope they get the ratings they deserve because these girls have been balling.
yes,
They
they
have been.
100%
games
step.
been better, but they've been equally as good.
Absolutely.
as
That game the
men's
other
game.
night, I'm sorry,
been
UConn,
great.
that was, I mean, North Carolina State and UConn, that
That was
was an amazing
Yeah,
basketball.
championship level.
I have seen.
But
some
did you see
great
the
women's
clutch
basketball.
threes? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
clutch.
clutch.
When I'm sitting here thinking it's over, and
coming
the
through.
point guard, and she comes in and she just kicks it this way, and the girl just no hesitation. It was just beautiful
Yeah,
for
it
the
was
second overtime. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah, no, it was great.
And I love hard plays.
Me
basketball.
too.
I love it.
Dive for those balls,
Yeah,
you know?
But you know, and I hate to say this because it's never a good thing to blame the refs. But I don't know if you really, but if you really
We
watched it,
appreciate that.
but if you, I know, but if you really looked at that game at the end of the first, the regular and the overtime, every time UConn was in the paint, they got a call and went to the line. That never happened for
I
North
agree.
Carolina.
I
And we were
agree
getting
with
knocked
that.
to the side and
Yeah.
they never made a
Oh, I
call.
agree.
I do agree with that. I also, you know,
No bias.
I was just gonna.
But a lot of times the officials will change sides, so they're not refereeing, the home side of the same team on both halves.
Okay, Danielle.
You know,
coming
so
in.
they should
Yeah.
change sides. So you don't always be underneath the basket or the half court part with the same team having the ball.
But
So you can
I
get
think-
those fair calls.
I think our visiting ref made a good point, a couple weeks ago too, that there are often things you just don't see.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
there are those moments when you're letting people play
Because
through.
we're
Yeah.
following the
And
ball,
you
and
don't
they're
want-
following the players. That's what we
Yeah,
learned.
We learned that.
We learned, we learned.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I forget which men's games we were watching this weekend. And my husband is like, how do you not see the foul? Because the ref is at the baseline underneath the basket. And I said, because the foul is behind the player's back and the player is in front of the ref.
Did you set your husband straight on
I
that?
did,
Okay.
I did.
Wait a minute, didn't you know that this was set you straight, Danielle? Come on now. I mean,
I said, you can't see a foul behind their back.
And I love that she said I'm straight with the very southern behind.
Have you tried arguing with the Southern woman? It does not go well.
I think what I'm really looking forward to is, first of all, I'm rooting for Don Stanley.
oh, no doubt.
It's just one of those things, I'm gonna root for her, I've always been rooting for her, but I'm looking forward to seeing hard fought win.
Yeah.
I do not want anybody
I don't
to
want to
have
blow
an
out.
easy
So
battle.
wait a minute, why aren't y'all talking about Stanford,
I was
y'all?
gonna say, what about Stanford? We got the
We
hometown
got
girl
Stanford
from
against
Anna Wilson.
UConn,
Yeah.
Stanford against UConn. Again,
That's gonna be a hard
that's gonna be a tough game. Nobody.
And they're well coached too.
Easy
Yes.
Sarah
win.
Vanderwood, she is a good
Yeah.
coach.
But this is
Oh,
what
I
I always
love
like, we get all the madness and then we get the final four and it's not,
It's a muffin.
I mean,
Not bad.
it's not bad anymore. It's
Right.
like,
Well, I think the madness
So
is
hopefully-
watching like on the men's side of St. Peter's. And it's like, you didn't expect them to be where they are.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they are, and here they are. And we'll talk about it,
with a
the men's coach.
$250,000 budget for their athletic.
That's right.
That's true.
That's right. That's right.
And the media,
So are we
media
calling who
pushes
we
that as
see
well.
in who we're gonna see in the championship?
Okay,
game?
let's call the women.
Yeah.
Let's call the women.
I mean.
South Carolina, Louisville. Who you got?
South Carolina.
Okay, we're gonna be unanimous.
Yeah.
Star in your absence. You got South Carolina too.
Yeah, yeah. But
off screen, we'll let Rebecca choose. from,
Yes,
right?
yes. All right, we got Stanford and UConn.
Stanford.
Stanford.
I'm going with
I'm going
Stanford.
I'm going the game I want to see. I want to see Stanford in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a great, yeah, I'm with you on that
But
one.
I'm going with, I think UConn's gonna win.
Okay, so Carrie's our outlier on that.
All right, I got it. I'm not mad. I'm not
She knows
mad.
the rest.
And my women's bracket has been blown.
Oh,
my
mine
God.
too.
Mine
Listen to
too.
me.
I don't even want to talk about my bracket. I'm so embarrassed. I mean,
But like the
first of
entire
all, the minute
country
U of R
is-
won, I was like, oh, you know, let me fold this whole thing up. Forget it. And it's not that you don't want to see
Right.
the U of R's and the
Right.
same people. I love that. It's just that you want to really.
The stats didn't say
The
it.
stats don't
The
say it.
stats, and that's why it's madness, because the stats didn't say that was
Yeah.
gonna
Well, I
happen.
will
remember
tell
when
you that-
Gonzaga, nobody called it for Gonzaga
Oh.
all those years ago. So my hopes are
Years
that
ago.
St. Peter
It's gonna be
is
back.
coming back.
Right,
I
they're
hope
coming
that everything that they've done
I
turns
agree.
into their alumni kicking
Run,
in
baby,
some
run.
money.
Absolutely.
I hope their boosters start to
Oh, but
show
they're
up.
gonna get some
I know
Yeah, they're
NCAA
gonna-
money.
Yeah,
My
absolutely.
daughter lives in Jersey City. I've driven past St. Peter's many times, down the block.
But it's
But let's
something
give
like
it-
that could change
I'd
a
love
whole
to see
school.
them get a
Like
bigger-
VCU.
It changed VCU.
Exactly.
Let's give it up
It's
to
gonna
the
be a
coach.
life for Jersey
The coach
City.
said,
I'd love.
we don't see us as a Cinderella team.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
wait a
know
minute,
that.
wait a minute.
Flag.
The best quote in sports was when he said, I got a whole bunch of kids from New
From New
York and New
York and
Jersey.
New
You
Jersey.
think they scared or worried about who they
Yeah,
get?
yeah. And let me tell
We
you
did not
something.
come to-
There's a lot to be said
Love it.
there's a lot to be said for kids who don't get recruited at that top level. No shade to the kids who do, they earn it. But not everybody can go D1, right?
Right.
Not everybody can go D1 top level school. The top 10 can only take so many people. The fact that these kids went there doesn't mean they're not talented.
That's right.
We immediately
We saw their
assume
talent.
that. And the bottom line is any kid, any young person that's playing NCAA scholarship basketball is a talented individual.
So y'all know that I'm
100%.
usually focused on the money.
Yes.
It's not the talent that makes the difference.
It's what they
It's
can
the
invest in
resources
program.
that is available in the
Absolutely.
program.
Absolutely.
And so when
Yes.
you have cryo facilities and you can rebuild
Absolutely.
and
And
your
rehab
healing
your
process, as
body.
opposed to the other people sitting in ice baths and, I mean, so
Yeah.
so it really does,
Athletic
when you can
athletic
have, when, then
programs,
listen to this, I spent some time at Duke, and I love the fact that their top level players, all of them have an individual videographer coach that sits with them and goes
does
through the
video training
video
and
with
video,
them
yeah.
on watching them. So some of these other programs just don't have that level
Agreed.
of sophistication. So
Most of the
again,
other
it's not the
programs don't.
talent,
Which
it's
I-
the
but I was
resources.
Yeah.
saying
I-
That
I
that
agree
shows
with
that
that
their
100%.
talent, the level of their talent to do what they did with what they had. And
Yes.
That
And
is
I-
like believing in yourself and your capabilities and your team and your coach, and like, we did not come here to lose.
Yeah.
Come-
And that's
come
what
to
he
play.
said, and that's
We
what he
came to
said at
play.
the very
We came to win.
beginning.
But that
Back in
level
the-
of investment starts in school.
Yeah.
That level of player investment starts in schools, athletic dollars and investments in players.
Yeah, and
I've
that, you
got-
can see that.
yeah, you
even-
can see
we've
it.
seen it in local programs where, you know, you can drive right here in Richmond and there are football programs that don't have bleachers. Think about, it's simple things. It's the emotional impact of not having people in the stands
Yeah.
when you're gonna play,
That's right.
right?
Or the football
It's
fields
not
that are
having a
turf
field
fields
that's not-
versus.
So we didn't
That's
have
it.
that problem in
That's it.
Texas, because in Texas, high school stadiums look like pro
Yeah,
athlete
yeah.
Football
stadiums.
is
And
the-
every quarterback that I have ever crossed back at every high school in Austin, Texas, every one of those players, individual, they have their own coach
Yeah. And
that their
I can
parents are
say-
paying for.
I
Yeah.
can say the same thing living
Everything's
10
bigger
years
in
down in
Texas.
Florida. I mean,
So now just say
those
happy you
Florida
got a new
football
baseball
teams invest
scoreboard.
in themselves. Now, one of the things I will say about a team like St. Peter's, I get a little nervous because we saw what happened here at VCU. You become a winning program and everybody wants your coach.
Yeah.
And that coach has offers on the table right now. And I know he's made little sound bites where he's like, that's not what I'm thinking about, and so on and so forth. But money moves people.
Right.
And so
There
I'm
is
$4 million took Shaka right on
But
down
out
those
there,
stadiums.
The
That's
helicopter
right. There
came
is
in.
a
But now he's
number
in the
that he
tundra
will say
and
yes
There's
to.
Yeah.
always a number.
There
Yeah.
is a number.
Always a number.
There is a
So,
number. You
But
may
I
not
don't
be
think
looking.
he'll leave this
Not
year.
yet, not this year. He'll
I
take one more year, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Because
I think
you had it happen
when
twice.
you
let's
got
be
a
real.
recruiting team like this and you got these people, you they've committed to you.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
commit to them. But yeah, I do believe he could be moved, but I don't think it'll be this.
So what about the guys who
All
are
right,
actually?
so I had 3 brackets that I ran. Yeah, I was desperate. We're just gonna call it. So my very first bracket, I went line by line. It's the only one I did. The very first bracket I did.
Wow.
The one I chose to win it all, I don't know how we're gonna play out. I chose Villanova. Villanova's still in it. They're in it.
Wow.
They're still in it.
I can't believe
They
it.
were the number 2 in their seeding. They go up against Kansas.
Kansas gonna take them
Yeah,
down.
Yeah.
number 1 and 2.
I don't like either one of those.
Well, is that because of Michigan? I mean, come on.
I've just never been a Kansas fan.
Yeah.
I like your coach. I like Kansas coach.
I think
but-
Kansas is gonna.
So I
I do
picked
too.
Villanova. I got a personal connection to them. I actually went to training for 4 different summers at Villanova for my chamber industry. They host it on their campus. So I love their campus. It's beautiful. The athletes are there during the summer, during training. They run their summer kids programs. Took my kids up with me all 4 summers. So I chose Villanova to take it all. What I did not anticipate.
I know, that's what I was shocked with.
I did,
heard.
I did. What I didn't anticipate was the ACC showdown and the other
Oh,
bracket.
that is going to be the game Saturday
As
night.
an ACC fan, I'm a UVA fan, but I cheer ACC. Now, are we gonna have another ACC championship?
Game of
playoff?
I want it to happen. That way.
Yeah,
I really hope
yeah.
so.
Now, here's my projection. Duke is mad.
From the last time.
And so when you mad, you hungry. You don't want to, you can't get
Not
beat
gonna
twice.
give you room for Duke.
I think.
Amen to that. I am
No,
not for Duke.
no Dookies around me.
None. I just can't bring myself to
Me
Duke.
neither.
No.
I think it's gonna be
Go
who
Tar
wants it
Heels.
the baddest. I think Duke is mad. This is gonna be the end. This is the last game.
But can we also talk about Hubert Davis?
Yes.
As opposed to,
I
yes.
mean, those are
But he
big.
was crying too much. I like, dude.
But you know what? Those are big.
Come on,
Those are big
dude.
shoes. to
Save it
fill.
for the locker
Roy-
room. We
but
supposed to
Roy
act like
Williams-
I expected to be.
But Roy Williams, I mean, that's a big, that's a big.
Mad about
I know, yeah.
Suck it up. This is sports.
They're crying,
Basketball.
There are no
Fine in
crying
baseball or
back.
basketball.
You better get up and wipe that
Sounds like
off.
my mom.
I mean,
But those are big shoes to fill.
And
Roy
it-
Williams, you
Roy
know.
Williams is.
but Roy is there. He's
I
there
know, I
every
love that.
game. But I think it's exactly.
Now,
Supporting and cheering them on, and it's just so great to see.
Yeah.
That's the first
It's
time
a
he's ever
legacy
done that.
continue.
now I will say, I got a friend I played basketball with in high school. She's down in Lynchburg. Her son was the #1 Virginia football recruit. He had 42 D1 offers. He chose UNC when he came down to the Final Five. Final Five being Alabama, UNC.
Why did he take you
I'm-
and
I'm-
see
I'm-
over
I'm
Alabama?
already lost here.
Yeah, me too.
Ohio State, Alabama,
I
Notre
understand that
Dame, UVA, UNC.
Does this kid need a handler? 'Cause-
Now, here's what I'm gonna tell you. He's 18 years old. He graduated in December. He's already there. He's 18 years old. He wants to get on the field and play. That takes Alabama out. Okay? His grandfather played for UVA, so I knew UVA was making it in the cut. Ohio State and Notre Dame, I don't know how they made it to the Final Five, but they did. And then UNC. UNC said, you're gonna come and we're gonna put you on the field the first year and you're gonna win. So you're gonna play and you're gonna win some games. So I know how he got to UNC. And let me tell you, when you a D1 recruit, he's #5 in the country, #1 in the state. They roll out the red carpet for you. They roll it out like nobody's business. I watched his recruiting journey at that level of football. And I mean, it's insane what these schools do when you come on the.
Well, Carolina's gonna take Duke down again.
So as a lifeline, I might call UNC just because the kids there on the football team.
Well, shout out to Mondo for right over at Trinity. We got to get some Jack
Yeah.
who's
Yes.
getting it done.
Yeah.
I'm just, there's no way. Listen, we can go far back back to some players that I refuse to name that are disappointments out of Duke. They do nothing for the NBA. If I'm gonna
We're not gonna talk about Zion Williams.
Yes,
already.
already Christian Laettner, Zion Williams.
Christian Laettner would have never made that shot if it wouldn't be for Grant Hill passing the ball.
That's the
I love Grant Hill.
I love Grant Hill too.
Yeah.
Grant Hill, Grant Hill, I love
And
him.
even he was injury prone, but we're gonna move on from
Yeah,
that too.
well,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna say, and I can't bring myself to read.
Well, Duke's issue is they gotta get students past the first year from the class. I mean, that's
Now, wait a minute, now, hold on. Duke has a history of always their players graduating until of late, like the
Yeah,
last
yeah,
5 or
yeah.
6 years.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So
It's
they
been a recent history, but
It-
that recent trend of
just,
one
they're
and
just
done.
catching up with everybody else.
Yeah.
Budget.
Yeah.
It
it is. It's the money.
But Duke used to keep their players.
That's
Yeah,
right.
they did.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So what we calling it for? Let's go.
You know,
Come
I
on,
think Duke,
Danielle.
if Duke can get out of their head, they take it. But if Duke don't get out of their head, UNC gonna eat them for dinner.
Okay, I'm going UNC that for that game.
Because that's what happened in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I mean, they just.
I mean,
got
I
out
was
of their
born
head.
a Tar Heel, so I don't have a
Yeah.
You wasn't
choice.
born a
Well,
Tar Heel.
my
born
daughter
a Tar
played for
Not only
UNC Asheville, so I got it.
Oh, there you go.
There you
go.
UNC.
You gotta be able to go home.
All
So,
right, so that game is UNC. Karen, not calling for anybody?
No, I'm going with Caroline.
Karen, okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
my father-in-law lives in Chapel Hill, so.
And I do have
It's
Carolina
not cheering for
fans that
Michigan, it's
sponsor
cheering
my
for
rec
Chapel Hill.
basketball league.
So
Every year, they're
You
like,
gotta
I
think
need Carolina blue as our shirt color. I'm like, okay, every year. That's all they
It's
want.
the
But
prettiest
you know,
blue.
It is
Nobody
a
says
pretty
Duke
blue.
blue.
I will
Your
say this,
question.
I'm just as excited to watch the game to see how the crowd is behaving as I am just to watch the game. The energy that those teams bring when they are face to face or when they're in the room, just, I can't wait to see it.
I think
love
I think
March
the
Madness.
final's gonna be a disappointment.
But I think
I
that
hope
this is
not.
the
I hope
biggest
so. I hope
sporting
not,
event.
Barry.
I think that this will be the biggest sporting event, you know, for that
It's like
entire
the
week.
Lakers and the Celtics.
I mean, it's a
level.
college game, but it's got to be the #1 sporting
Larry
event
Bird.
Because
that
it's the
people are going to be
biggest
watching.
rivalry in, I think, in college
It
basketball.
is, and isn't this the first time that they've ever met in the Final
playoffs,
Four?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but why are we on TBS?
What is that?
Maybe
What is
TBS is on the come up.
It is
Why
like-
is it on TV?
It ain't TNT.
Wasn't that the
Yeah.
budget brand for the longest?
Like CW. I thought.
CBS.
I mean, it used to
Did
take
you take me to
CBS or NBC.
ABC.
You know, when back in the days when you only had 3 channels and 35, it was on one of the 3 channels.
Exactly.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
That was before ESPN.
It was before ESPN.
So we'll take it where we can get it.
That's right. That's right.
That's just-
But look, shout out
So
to
what's the
Turner
other side of the
Broadcasting.
bracket? What we talking about?
I hope they make some money off the advertisers. That's all I'm hoping for.
Oh, wait a minute. Did you guys not realize that the cheerleaders that were getting up to get the ball off of the top, one of them created an NFT that is selling?
You
Oh,
better
I
stop.
love that.
I know.
Okay,
Yes,
cheerleaders.
first
With the
cheerleader.
broomstick.
All right.
All right now,
Shout out
and
to
I ain't a
All
cheerleader
Stars,
fan. My
all
husband told me about
All-Star
that.
groups around here. Yeah.
Yes, she created an
Yeah.
NFT and
I
it
am
is
pro-cheerleader.
trending.
I love it. That's great.
Listen, you know, one of the things that I
This
really love
cheerleading is a competitive
how they
sport as
have-
well.
It
is.
As well.
Thank you, as a famed all-star mom.
Yes.
Oh,
We gotta
Lord.
recognize the
Oh,
cheerleaders.
Lord, the peanut gallery has
And
woken
y'all, and
up.
look, y'all are cutthroat.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, they get the most injuries of any sport.
Y'all
really do.
dropping girls and some
Hey,
more
hey, hey,
stuff.
don't say no. Dropping girls, that's the least of what the girls are doing. Come on. Come on. Yeah, we're doing some big stuff. I will say this, I'm excited to see what, because we're just really getting into the space and time where these athletes are able to monetize themselves. You bring up the NFT. I'm looking forward to seeing what some of the women in the bracket do with their clout
Well, Paige,
afterward. I
Paige,
cannot wait.
Paige, they haven't released a number, but Paige with UConn,
Oh, yeah,
she's
she's
the
making
largest
money
name
right
in
now.
likeness with
Yeah.
Gatorade.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, she was the
She's
first out of the
incredible,
game.
really. She's
And
an
then-
incredible athlete.
And then like the very next day in the game, that's when she got injured. It was,
Oh.
Yeah.
so
It'll be
it's interesting to
interesting.
see how the injuries impact the name and likeness deals too.
Mhm.
But wait, there was one of the players, I'm trying to remember who said that he wasn't doing any name and likeness work because he didn't want to take away his focus from the game.
I mean,
Because they have to do, I mean, it's a lot of work. They've got to do a lot of promotion.
they do, but I will
social
say
media
this,
stuff.
some athletes don't have an option. You know, the average NCAA athlete does not come from a wealthy family. You know, there are a lot of, that may not necessarily be reflected in a lot of the young athletes that you guys know, but when you look at the NCAA, every one of the guys that were, you know, playing when I was in college that I had knowledge of just through my connections, those guys were coming out of families in Florida and Georgia, and this was the come up. Right. So having the opportunity, and you went back then, you know, we had a little one, we were married, we're young people, we're in college, and he can't work. Cannot work if he wants to keep his scholarship. So then, you know, as young people, you're trying to figure this whole thing out. So while it may be a lot of time that has to be put into it, I'm glad that they have the opportunity, because so many kids have risked their their NCAA eligibility sneaking in order to be able to work and feed themselves.
What
I'm
about
excited
Penny
to see them make
Hardaway,
money.
y'all?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Memphis is not the only team that's been dealing with some violations.
Yeah.
I heard that's coming with
it's
some
coming.
other
It's
teams,
coming.
but
It's
Penny
But
is,
to
this
me,
goes
those
all the
are
way, this
understandable.
guy that they're dealing with as
This
it
is
relates to
years
their
ago,
program,
though.
he plays for Golden State.
Yeah. Years ago.
Wiseman or something
Yeah.
like that.
These things will always come up because most of those kids were doing it. And you think about it, people will say, oh, well, they're getting a meal plan and they're this, that, and the other. Any parent or anybody who has been, married or dating or with somebody who's in that position, those meal plans aren't going to do it for a guy who has the existing
Or girl,
absolutely. And the same thing, the women were getting less money until Title IX, and Title IX still didn't level the playing field.
1 minute.
So I'm absolutely excited to see what some of these kids who don't get a lot of shine, and all of a sudden they're in the limelight. What are they going to do with it? How are they going to turn it into something brand?
All right, here's what we know. We got great basketball,
Financial
men and women, coming up this weekend. If you want to see some balling going down, you got to tune in. You got to tune in. But before we go, we want to make sure that we thank our sponsors just one more time. We have the Hilton downtown Richmond.
Shout out Dasha.
Yes,
Mike King and the Mike King Radio
the
Show.
big man.
Fast Signs, Jerry Howard, our newest sponsor,
The ref.
Core Mortgage, the Ref. ESPN, Richmond, Friday, 6 a.m., 1061. You can find us there, or on Tuesday at The Choice, 2 p.m., 105.3. Until then, we will see you next week with some winners. We've called the
Can't
game.
wait.
We've called it. We'll have our
We've called
receipts
the
ready.
game.
Yeah.
You know you will, Doc.
Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see you next time.